Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Mid-South Wrestling Review Series for the 8th of January, 1983. And again, we are into the year of 83. We've got the end of 81 that's there, all of 82 that is available on the network, and we are going to move through the year of 1983. Last week's episode, or the most recent episode, is a review episode, so certainly not as much to it as would be normal or natural. This is the first main television show of the year. They kind of do more of a hype to put programs in place, and Mr. Olympia has left the area because he was pinned in a tag team match where Loser of the Fall has to leave the area in a couple of weeks before the end of the year. That's the major thing. Mr. Wrestling 2 addresses Kamala and Akbar, basically saying in short that he will not take a backward step from anybody. He's not intimidated by anybody, and he does not care for the way they handle things. Dr. Death Steve Williams is here versus Tom Ernesto Jr. Not a super heavy match, as Steve Williams becomes a major force here in like 84, 85, 86, but not a major force here as he's still in rookie beginnings. He uses his power early, arm drags and the like, and Dr. Death, of course, a multi-sport athlete, multi-faceted athlete, and continues to be powerful and a major deal. That the whole the hype of the return of Mr. Wrestling 2 and the Kamala thing takes up the first several minutes of the show. Arm lock, arm bars, and the like by Dr. Death Steve Williams. Williams pretty well dominant in the match. He doesn't remain as long as I thought he would here, but at the time I didn't know his 83 run or the length of it. He hits the Oklahoma Stampede Power Slam modified. It is not the move that it would later become, but it is a major move for him throughout his career, so worth acknowledging. Arn Anderson, Marty Lundy, of course using his legal name, against Dick Murdoch. Murdoch goes to town on Lundy pretty quickly and early. Lundy again in his rookie year here and still looks like $1 million. Goes right after Murdoch. Murdoch does quite a bit of selling for him. Lundy jumps him, gets angry at the referee after a body slam does not result in a pinfall or a victory, and he goes right to town on, Dick Murdoch. Murdoch, of course, major star throughout all territories and a bit of a brawler. He's such a good guy for Lundy, who becomes honestly one of my top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time, probably, maybe top 15, but certainly in that upper echelon, at least for me as a fan, through his entire career. But you can see Murdoch putting him through the paces, trying to get the most he can out of his adversary while still maintaining leverage, and again using that brainbuster that becomes so famous and overused by current talents. He does get him up and over almost in a more traditional suplex type maneuver, like he didn't really want to drop him on his head or didn't know how. Maybe Lundy didn't know how to take that particular move at that time. Art Cruz, who is an enhancement talent for the area, against Kamala. I mean, this is, super simple match. Not going to be much to it. Punch, kick, double-handed choke, and a big splash. Kamala gets a victory. Moving towards that bigger feud with Wrestling 2. Then we go to Great Kabuki signing with Skandor Akbar, striking a deal with Gary Hart, kind of Gary Hart majority in World Class at the time, and bringing Kabuki in. Kabuki, a major star in various other territories. Hart handing him over as kind of an alliance between Akbar and Gary Hart across promotions. Kind of an interesting deal for 1983. Don't know exactly how that came to be, to get Gary Hart to be there, but I think Gary Hart had a lot to do with the creation of the Kabuki gimmick, so maybe he felt his endorsement would mean something extra. Kabuki wrestling. Tim Horner's up next. Horner, a really talented guy who just never quite finds his nature, and kind of always remains more an enhancement level talent. Lower, maybe hits a mid card in a couple of promotions, but it's not really a big deal. Head scissors take over, and then Kabuki hits with a back trip. You can see that Kabuki doesn't really want to oversell for Horner as he manages to go right to town on the kid really. And hits several kicks, martial arts chops, martial arts things through the late 80s, a major deal, and kind of interesting to see, Hart at ringside with Akbar hanging on to Kabuki for the next several months here, but Gary Hart not there every time, but might as well be used since he's at TV and does the endorsement. Horner tries his best to fire back, doesn't really get a lot on it, but manages to hit a back kick and goes to town pretty quickly in that vein. Gary Hartigan remains out there. Kabuki, known for the nerve holds, uses them here, goes to town that way, and gets the advantage. And then we kind of see him, Horner fire up. Just really a match worth checking out if you're an enhancement talent level person and want to know about or get to know more about Babyface Fire and the like. DiBiase and Bourne, your tag team champions, versus Landell and Sammartino Jr. Bruno Sammartino Jr., who years later would have a short cup of coffee in the World Wrestling Federation, but here getting some time in Mid-South. He never really hits much stride, and I don't know if it's just the pressure of being his father's son. Obviously, his father's son makes sense, right? But just there's a lot of deal there. DiBiase selling for him like $1 million though, as he goes nuts on a series of body slams on both Bourne and DiBiase, and really starts out looking like, I don't know if this is his first match. I don't think he might have had one or two matches in '82 on television, but he's used here for the next couple of months more religiously, more liberally. But DiBiase ends up taking him down a bit, and then we see Landell come in. Landell and DiBiase a little bit more amenable to each other. But Sammartino remains in the match for a good bit of it, I'd say more than half. Takes some good punishment from both Bourne and his partner DiBiase, and really Bruno gets some good ring time in this television match, put through the paces and made to look good enough. I mean, he cuts off DiBiase at one point. He manages to go toe-to-toe with Bourne for a couple of minutes, and you really do see even Landell getting more than your average babyface on an underneath wood here. But obviously DiBiase and Bourne remain your tag team champions, and we go into, I guess you'd say, the main event of the program. Gino Hernandez and Mr. Wrestling 2, this time at the Mid-South television facility, the Irish McNeil's Boys Club. And, Gino Hernandez finds himself in the head scissors quite a bit. Wrestling 2, obviously a major guy, dealing with the angle where he's trying to find out who's sending him bloody masks and damaged masks and all of that. We do find that the derivation of that over the next several months, but it's fun here. Wrestling 2 manages to crank on the headlock quite a bit. They don't have a lot of time and energy put into the match, but at the same time, really basic stuff that goes quite well. Hernandez treated well even here. Obviously, the majority of Hernandez's stuff over the next 4 or 5 years. I think he passes in late 86, early 87. I know I covered that in the World Class thing, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But, I mean, he is a major force in Texas for the next several years. And his run here in Mid-South, just to get some other experience, at least I would assume, one has to wonder what would have happened had Hernandez managed to not succumb to issues early. Back and forth we go around, and for the most part, this match gets a non-finish here, as is often the case in Mid-South. We will be back with more, and we'll be back with a bunch more here. Keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.